to see you again. Guess it's time we take another trip back into the music history vault. I'm Forrest Howie McDonald. I'm your host tonight and every night on this channel. So let me put this guitar down. I'll see you upstairs. That's better. It's more comfortable up here. Now I'm going to tell you about an incredible weekend in August of 1965 where I hitchhiked from Barrington, Rhode Island to Greenwich Village. We got the Village Voice, and it was a great newspaper, kind of underground, you might call it. We could get it in Providence at the newsstand. And I looked and I saw Muddy Waters was going to be at the Cafe Midnight in Harlem, and that Mose Allison was at the Village Gate in Manhattan. And I was a big fan of both of those guys. I got there about 6 o'clock at night, and I looked around and tried to figure out where am I going to stay. And I found what they call the Flop House, which was kind of like a gutted office building, several floors, and it almost looked like a prison. There were cages there, and like in the old pay toilets, you could pay 75 cents and you'd get a key that you could take inside with you and lock yourself in and lock yourself out. And there was like a bunk bed of wood. No blankets, no nothing. But because you were caged in, you knew at least you wouldn't be robbed. So for 75 cents, I knew where I was going to be staying. Then I hit the street and I went to the Night Owl Cafe. John Sebastian and the Loving Spoonful were playing. I could hear his harmonica coming out that window. Man, he sounded so good. They were different from the West Coast band. They had their own thing. They were just, man, I love the Loving Spoonful. So I caught their set, and then I got on the subway and went up to Midtown to the Village Gate, where the great Mose Allison was playing. And I had gotten Mose Allison Sings, the album, in 63, 64. So I was a big fan of his. And he was sort of playing. It was a nice hot August night, so the doors were open, the sound was just coming out there, and I heard him doing his thing, and I caught his whole set. I said, wow, this is great. Well, then I got on the train and I went to Harlem, and I was looking around for the Cafe Midnight. So here I am, a 15-year-old white kid. I'm playing in my very first band, the Oxbow Incidents. I've had a guitar in my hand less than a year. And I walk in, and there's Muddy Waters and his band setting up. And Muddy says, "What's a white boy like you doing up here in Harlem?" And I said, "I came to see you, Mud. You're a legend with me. I got a couple of your albums." And he gave me a big smile, and he introduced me to some of the guys in the band. And the guitar player wanted to sell his guitar and upgrade. And he said, "Hey man, you wanna buy my axe?" I said, "I don't know, let me see it." So he handed it to me, and I did whatever I could with it, you know. Maybe played an E9 chord. And then I said, "That's cool, man. How much do you want?" And he said, $125. I said, "Okay, well, I'll think about it." Then Muddy said, "All right, son, we got to go backstage and get ready, and we'll be out for a hell of a show." So I said, "Cool." And I found myself a seat, and I ordered a Coke. And Muddy came out and played an unbelievable set. Man, that was some raw Chicago blues come up from the Delta, but it was electrified. When he jumped into Got My Mojo Working, the riffs just blew right through your brain. And then the band came in with that rhythm, and you just felt like moving your feet and jumping around. It was great. So I stayed to the end of the night, And in New York City, they go pretty late, you know. And I got the last train that I could back to my flop house in the village. Stumbled in, put my 75 cents in, laid down on this piece of wood, crashed out. I was in paradise. So I got up the next morning and asked around, found a place I could get some eggs and stuff. Was hanging out wondering what to do. I walked down to Bleeker Street, and on the corner of this alley was a place that I had read about, the Cafe Wha. And in the Village Voice, I had seen advertisements for the Fugs and other, like, what appeared to be really avant-garde bands playing there. So I said, let me go in and see who's playing. And it happened to be a free matinee, and a group called the Raves were playing. And their singer had a lot of polish. He said, good afternoon, we are the Raves. And then they jumped into Stormy Monday Blues by T-Bone Walker, which was one of the inspirational blues songs that got me into blues. When my dad gave me two bones and a pick when I was a kid, when he learned I had first started playing guitar. So the Raves did their thing, and just a unique little twist to this story, 30 years later, 25 years later, in Hollywood, I auditioned for Tanya Tucker's band, and the drummer for the Raves was on that audition. And if you remember the TV show Barney Miller, Jack Sue's son, Rick Sue, was the bass player on that audition. Let me get back to the story, though. So the Raves played, and while they were playing, I sat to the left of the stage, and a tall, skinny black guy with a do-rag on came over and started talking to me, and he was talking real fast and kind of rambling, and he said his name was Jimmy James, and he was a guitar player, and he played with Little Richard and like that, and he was going to jam on the break. So stick around. And I said, okay, yeah, man, sounds great. The Raves took a break, and Jimmy got up there and played all of this elegant chordal stuff. So for a 15-year-old guy who knew two bar chord positions in the open position, and Jimmy's going all over the place, but he's left-handed and upside down, I was in outer space. So he finished the 20 minutes, the Raves came back, he came over to me, he said, so man, what'd you think? And I'm thinking, I didn't know what you were doing, but it was great. Man, you were awesome. He said, well, thanks very much. You know, I'm gonna be doing some things. I got a new album coming out. I might even go to England and stuff. So I said, really? Awesome, cool, really nice to meet you. Then a couple years later, Are You Experienced came out, and I said, hey, that was the guy. So that was unbelievable. Now another sort of twist to the story. In 1969, I was living in P-Town, Mass, and I had an all-original group called Pale Rider. We used to go to the clubs. There was one club called Piggy's where I met Buddy Guy at in 69. He came in from the parking lot with a 100-watt cable in a lime green suit. But there was a guy named Sonny McCormick who hung out there, who was heir to the McCormick Tea Company. So he had a lot of money. And he was at the Electric Ladyland recording when Jimmy did All Along the Watchtower. And there's that one slide part. And he said, Jimmy tried everything. A spoon, a glass slide, a metal slide. Nothing was working. So Sonny pulled out his Zippo lighter and he said, hey, Jimmy, try this. And he did it, and that little slide part is Sonny McCormick's Zippo lighter. Here's the third little twist on the story. My first big-time girlfriend in Los Angeles, Terry Morrow, worked at Copland and Rubin Publishing Company in New York City and was also a Playboy bunny. And she met Devon, who was Jimmy's girlfriend at the time, main girlfriend, because Jimmy had a lot of girlfriends. And Devon and Terry shared an apartment. It was a one-bedroom. So when Jimmy was recording Electric Ladyland, he'd come in, and instead of Terry and Devon being in the bed, she'd go sleep on the couch. Well, one night after one of the sessions, he had this enormous, beautiful brown leather fringe poncho. He covered her up with it, and he said, "This is for you." And so when we got together, she gave it to me. So I had Hendrix's poncho. Can you believe that? The flip side of it was the first time I lost everything I owned was when I moved from Rhode Island back to Muscle Shoals to the studio, and the moving van was hijacked, and Jimmy's poncho was on it. I couldn't believe it. I said, "I'm insured, right?" And the guy said, "Yeah, 35 cents a pound. Here's a check for $4, and that included all my amps and guitars and everything." So read the fine print. But it was an unbelievable weekend meeting and hearing John Sebastian and the Loving Spoonful, Mose Allison, Muddy Waters, and the incredible Jimi Hendrix. What a weekend. 1 week after the Beatles played Shea Stadium in August of 1965. Now, when it was time to go home, I walked north through Central Park, and I kept walking till I found a train station. Wasn't really a train station, but there were a lot of trains parked there. So I got an idea. I said, "They're facing north, and I live north, so let me climb up on one of these trains." And I climbed up the caboose and went about 50, 60, 70 feet down on one of the cars, and I lay down flat, and I heard the engine, and I felt us pulling out. And within about 5 minutes, man, I was about flying in the wind like Superman. I mean, we were probably going 65, 70 miles an hour. I'm on top of this train holding on for dear life. My legs flying out behind me. It was unbelievable. I had no idea where we were going. But they pulled into a yard, and I noticed I could see the big New Haven sign on one of those gas tanks. So I said, "Okay, I'm in New Haven." I got out, climbed down from the train after no one was around. I looked around, And then I got out to the main road, got on Route 95, started hitchhiking again. A state trooper picked me up. He took me to the Rhode Island line. And then I think I called my mom to come get me. It was Sunday night. I was only in the 9th grade. I had to be back in school in the morning. It was an unbelievable weekend. What else can I tell you? Hope you like this story. It was fun telling it to you. If you like it, hit the like button, please. Subscribe and smash the bell so you'll know the next time I put out one of these great stories from my 65 years in music. See you next time. Keep loving your heart, people. See ya.